The Astonishing Journey of Teddy Bodain. March 7th, 1892. Dear Martha, we left 2 weeks ago today, but so much has happened. It seems like we've been gone forever. I still can't believe we are part of a wagon train. Everywhere I look are covered wagons, up front and behind. Did you ever dream I'd be on a wagon train? That sounds like something we would read about in a dime novel. I wish you and your family could have come with us. It's different for you. Your pap owns his own land. Mama hated to leave Mississippi, but owning land means everything to her and Pap. This is their chance. The worst part for me was leaving you. I'll miss Mississippi, but Florida? What will it be like? A chance to have a new adventure. I had to get used to riding all day in the wagon. Mom and I ride on the wooden seat up behind Jester and Jingo. That's right, the same mules Pap plowed the fields with. They are the prettiest team on the train. Some folks already have their oxen, but most are driving mules. Pap said we'll have to trade our mules in for oxen when we reach Dothan, Alabama. I like being up high on the wagon seat. It's incredible. You can see everything from up there, but the wagon bounces and lurches when one of the mules steps in a rut. I get sore after a while, especially on my sitting down place. You saw our wagon before we left Salter's Grove, but that was before we covered it with a huge canvas. The first day out, we stopped early, so Mom and I spread the canvas out on the grass and painted it with linseed oil. Linseed oil makes it waterproof. Pap stretched it over the wooden stays, and he and Mama and I lashed it all around, as tight as a drum. Of course, the wagon is not as roomy as our cabin, but it will have to be our home for the journey. Pap says he's hoping we'll be on our land in 4 months, even though it is 1,000 miles away. Sounds like the longest trip imaginable. We don't have all our supplies yet. We'll stop to buy everything when we cross Alabama and arrive in Dothan. Mama brought food from home to last till then. That way, the wagon's not so heavy for the mules to pull. Pap wants them to be in good shape, so he can get top dollar when he trades for oxen. You'd be so proud of Jester and Jingo, especially Jester. He's so handsome. I know they're the same old mules we had on the farm, but they look like royal horses when they pull this fine wagon. A boy my age, whose wagon is ahead of ours by about 10 wagons, walked by yesterday. He yelled, "Them's fine mules." I shouted back, "The finest on this train." Mama pinched me. She said the kids will think I'm stuck up if I talk like that. She's always trying to hush me. Martha, how am I going to make it on this journey without you? I promise to write every day, or as often as I can. Will you write me too? For now, you can send your letters to Miss Theodosia Bodain, care of Postmaster General Delivery, Dothan, Alabama. It'll be weeks till I get there, but I will look forward to hearing from you, Martha. You are my best friend forever. Love, Teddy. March 8th, 1892. Dear Martha, this morning as we were driving the wagon, Mama said, "Oh, look, Teddy, there's a cardinal. See his bright red color? Seeing a red bird means good luck." Mama and her birds. She used to tell me, when the cardinals start singing as the sun comes up, it sounds like they're saying, "Good morning, good morning." The people in the wagon in front of us are the Carters. They're older than Pap and Mama. Their son and his wife Emily and their baby have the wagon in front of them. All the Carters shared supper together with us last night. The men built the fire and watered the teams. Mama and Mrs. Carter made black-eyed peas, ham, and cornbread. Emily and I bathed their baby and Dylan in a tub. Her baby, Lucy, is a year old. Even though Dylan is almost 2, they had a good time together, splashing in the water. After we bathed the babies, we washed their diapers, rinsed them, and Emily helped me twist out all the water. You know how I hate that part. She strung a line between our wagons, and we hung the diapers out to dry overnight. I have to wash diapers every night, so Dylan will have fresh ones for the next day. Sometimes Mama swaps chores with me. She lets me wash the supper dishes, and she does the diapers. My favorite time of day is after supper when all the chores are done. We sit outside by the fire. We can see the fires of all the other families stretched along the train. We can hear folks playing the fiddle or the mandolin. Pap plays his harmonica sometimes. Mr. Carter, his son Martin, and Pap talk about the trip and tell stories. Mama and Emily rock their babies by the fire while Mrs. Carter bundles her healing herbs. I'm just supposed to listen. Mom says children should be seen and not heard. But even so, I like listening to the stories and watching the babies fall asleep. At night, Mom and I sleep in the wagon with baby Dylan between us. We have a soft pallet on the floor. Mama made it out of old blankets and goose down. I always put Veronica beside me on the pillow. I still can't believe you gave her to me, Martha. She's the best going-away present ever, and she's the most beautiful thing I've ever owned. I will keep her forever. This afternoon, Mama used her paints to paint some little flowers along the back of our wagon. They're bright and cheerful and make our wagon look different from everyone else's. Mama's so smart. It's still cold, especially after the sun goes down. I'm glad we have the feather bed to keep us warm. Pap sleeps outside under the wagon. I don't know how he stands it. Mama heats big rocks in the campfire, and when they're piping hot, she wraps them in felt, tucks them in Pap's sack to keep his feet warm. Then she covers him with several quilts on top of the sacking. Pap says he sleeps nice and cozy. Pap and the other men sleeping under their wagons watch for rustlers and varmints. I wonder what we'll have to watch for in Florida. Folks say Florida is a wilderness. Great buckets of butter beans. Oh, remember that kid who is from the wagon 10 wagons ahead of us? He came by today when we were rolling and asked, "You play marbles?" I said, "Better than any boy." It's a good thing Mama didn't hear me. He said, "All right then, how about tomorrow?" Wait till I whoop him good. I'll show that kid who's boss. Love. March 9th, 1892. Dear Martha, I lost my best shooter and 12 of my favorite marbles. Vexation. That kid I told you about, Travis, showed me a thing or two about playing marbles. We played ring tall, and he was good. He said he'd give them back because this was the first time we'd played together. But I said, no, we said keepsies. And you won fair and square. So my marble sock is half empty. I wasn't too mad about it because we had fun. I'm planning to win them back anyway. Guess what? I counted the kids on the wagon train. There are 56 children from 24 families. That's not counting the babies. Those are the kids who are at least 3 years or older. I met another girl my age, Minnie Good. Everyone likes her because she's good. Get it? I like her too. But you will always be my best friend. Martha, I have the best news to tell you. Miss Cassie Malman, 6 wagons back, is riding with the wagon train even though she's a single lady. She was a teacher in Mississippi and has agreed to have school for us children several times a week, whenever we can. Isn't that terrific? I hope she has some good books. You know how I am with books. Miss Malman is pretty and wears her hair up under a straw hat. She also wears long white starched skirts. I think she looks so smart and stylish. I told Mom all about it. She said, let's see how long Miss Cassie Malman can keep up those white stretched skirts clean. We're starting school tomorrow afternoon. How in the world will we have school on a wagon train? I wonder. I forgot to tell you that we brought Girlie with us. You know, Mama wouldn't leave Mississippi without her. She's tied to the back of our wagon on a loose line and walks along while we're rolling. Mama milks her first thing each morning. I milk her at night. When we pass meadows of what Mama calls good grass, she tells me to run and cut a basketful for Girlie. She says, I don't want her getting into milkweed or onion grass. Mama puts the extra grass in a huge bag and hands it from side to the wagon. If we can't buy a field of clover or good grass, Pep stakes Girlie out with the mules, and she can eat to her heart's content. If not, Mama feeds her the sweet dry grass from the bag. And I think anyone who produces milk for an entire family deserves the best grass the good Lord can provide. Don't you? We made pancakes this morning for breakfast. I skimmed the cream from Girlie's milk, poured it in a glass canning jar, added a pinch of salt, and shook it until it turned to butter. We're camped right by a spring. The water's cold, so wash the ball of butter in the cold water to get the whey out. Mama said it was the best butter she ever tasted. I told Mama her pancakes were the best I'd ever tasted. Pap said, I have the two best cooks on the train. The candle was burned low and will soon go out. Mama saves the stubs for me so I can write after she blows out the lantern. She's trying to save our oil until we get to Dothan. I melt the ends of the stubs and stick them together so I have one tall candle. It's not pretty, but it works. I can hear Pap snoring. Mama and Dylan have been asleep for a while now. I better get some shut-eye. Love, Teddy. March 10th, 1892. Dear Martha, we had school today. During the afternoon break, Miss Melman met with those of us who are 11 to 14 years old. I know what you're thinking. My birthday isn't till June. But it's so close. She said I could join the older group. Miss Melman reminds me of Miss Pettigrew at Salters Grove School. She tells wonderful stories. She's originally from Charleston, South Carolina, and took piano lessons from the time she was a child. Martha, she has a piano on the wagon train. I know, it seems hard to believe. Way back at the end of the train, there are 2 extra wagons. Folks hired drivers and their wagons to take extra belongings and furniture to Florida. Miss Melman took us to the very end of the train and showed us her piano. She told us she tipped the men who loaded the wagon to put her piano in last by the back opening. That way, she could sit on the little stool and play it anytime she wants. When she's not playing, she keeps it covered with 3 quilts and an oilcloth. It's a deep red wood mahogany, she calls it. Mama would love to own a piano like that. She always wanted to learn to play. I guess that's why she sings so much. Told Mama about the piano. Thought she'd be happy about it. But she said, what will Miss Cassie Melman do in Florida with a piano and starch white skirts? Then for a while, she wouldn't talk to anyone. Can't figure her out sometimes. Anyway, let me get back to the school part. Miss Melman will have school with several groups of kids each week. One of the men drives her wagon, and that frees her up to teach. Sometimes we'll meet during a rest period when we stop to let the animals rest. Sometimes we'll stop early so we can have school for longer periods of time. The kids who don't know their letters or how to read very well are in the beginner group. I'm in the intermediate group. Minnie Good's in my group too. So is Travis Lark, the boy who beat me out of all my marbles. They're both 11. I'm the youngest. But I'm still the best reader. The only thing is, our teacher, Miss Melman, uses my real name, Theodosia, not Teddy. I told Mama. She said, you tell Miss Fancy Pants she can call you Teddy like everyone else. I had to grit my teeth when Mama said that. Why does Mama say things like that? Great buckets of butter beans. During our class, we reviewed the alphabet, the vowels, consonants, with horn books. Surprise! Miss Melman has a trunk full of brand new horn books because she is on her way to Florida to teach at the Sheridan School for Girls. Since they're new, the horn coverings are very clear with no scratches or curled up corners. Remember the ones at Sattler's Grove School? I still have a scar on my arm where a piece of old horn had curled away from the nail. Anyway, Miss Melman said that she will read 2 books to us while we're on our journey. Alice in Wonderland for the girls and Tom Sawyer for the boys. I'm so happy about that. It'll make the trip go faster. After school was over, Travis and I played marbles again. I knuckled down as best as I could, but Travis won the leg and got the start. He picked off 10 more of my marbles. I'm down to 6. I lost my peewee and 2 of the cat's eyes. I won from your brother. Vexation. Love, Teddy. March 11th, 1892. Dear Martha, today is Saturday, but we are on the move just like usual. The sky is as blue as a cornflower. Sometimes Mom and I look at the clouds and try to say what the shapes look like, but not today. There's not a cloud in the sky. I spent most of today walking or riding with Pap. Mama was happy to sit up on the wagon seat by herself and let me play. The train moves slowly, the pace of the mules walking. So I'm allowed to go anywhere I like as long as I keep up and don't lag behind the last wagon. I feel as free as a bird. For a while, Pap let me ride with him on Gabriel as one of the men who pushes the train. Pap has to get up early and build a fire or stoke the coals from last night's fire so Mama or I can cook breakfast. Then he wakes the families along the caravan and meets with Captain Walsh about the route for the day. They look at maps and decide how far we'll go and where we'll make camp for the night. After that, when we shove off, Pap rides along beside the wagons and makes sure everything is in working order. That's when he lets me ride with him. I sit right behind Pap on Gabe's back and hold on to his waist. When I want to get down, I slide off the back end over Gabe's rump. The only bad part is I feel bow-legged. For a while when I get down, yep, that's me, bow-legged Teddy. I walked for a while with Minnie Good and her sister Haley. They both have corn-husk dolls they made before the trip. I carried Veronica. Minnie thinks she is elegant. Haley especially loves her hair. When I told them it was your very own real hair, cut by your mother and glued onto Veronica's china head, they wanted to touch it to feel how real it is. While we were walking, Travis Lark galloped up with his big news. He's one of the messenger boys. He rides his horse, Dixie, all up and down the train delivering messages to the pushers or taking notes to different families. He said Captain Walsh announced that tonight we will camp just outside of Meridian and we'll stay until Monday. Do you know what that means? We will get to see the biggest city in Mississippi. Minnie and Haley and I talked all about it. Meridian has a huge railway station, wide city streets, and lots of stores, and a grand opera house. Emily Carter has been there and showed me a stack of postcards. Miss Emily is nice. She has some fashion catalogs. She gave them to me, Minnie, and Haley. We rip out pictures of people and glue them to cardboard. Then we cut them out and cut stands for their feet so they'll stand up on their own. The next thing we do is cut out all sorts of clothes from the catalog pages and leave little paper tabs on them when we cut them out. Then we fold them over like paper dolls. Minnie and Haley and I love cutting out our paper dolls, and we each have whole families of them. We have dozens and dozens of outfits for them too. Miss Emily said maybe later on she'll teach me how to make my own real doll clothes for Veronica. I can already sew and mend, but I've never actually cut out doll clothes and sewn them up. That'll be lots of fun. Then I can make Veronica matching outfits to mine. As soon as I found out we're stopping at Meridian, I ran home to tell Mama. Of course, she lit up like a Christmas tree. Mama has always wanted to see Meridian. Who knows what all we'll see and do. March 12th, 1892. Dear Martha, we are camped at Meridian, Mississippi. Today is the day. We're going into town as soon as Mama finishes putting up her hair and Pap shines his boots. Everyone's excited about seeing this grand town and all the sights. I'm about to jump out of my shoes if they don't hurry up. Mom and I spent last evening taking baths, washing our hair, laying out our outfits. Mama set the wash tub right beside our wagon on the far side. She hung quilts around it for privacy while I heated buckets of water over the campfire. Pap hauled more buckets of fresh water for rinsing. It felt great to take a bath. The mules and wagons churn up a lot of dust each day, and it gets in our clothes and shoes and hair. The water felt warm and soothing. I used a cake of soap and a sponge and scrubbed away the layers of sweat and dust. Mama washed my hair, and I brushed it dry near the fire. Mama's been saving our good clothes in case we stop somewhere special. Well, Meridian is about as special as it gets. I'm wearing my new blue dress with the white pinafore. I braided my hair, tied my blue bows on the ends. I'm not the only excited one. We're all in a tizzy. Last night, we were so excited about our trip into Meridian, we forgot to eat. Just before bedtime, Pap said, "Grace, did we forget to eat supper?" Mama looked shocked. Then she said, "Dalton Bodain, I do believe you are right." And we had a good laugh about it. She gathered some cornbread left over from midday, and we ate cornbread with honey and drank some of Girlie's milk. It was like having a picnic right here inside the wagon, just the four of us. It was just our family, having fun together. Dylan said, "Torn bread? Isn't that cute? Torn bread." He says something new every day. He's so adorable in his outfit. He has a matching hat. It makes him look like a little man. Pap is calling. It's time to go into town, Martha. I wish you were going with me, but I'll write every detail in my next letter. March 13th, 1892. Dear Martha, goodness gracious, and great buckets of butter beans. How can I ever explain all about Meridian? It was astonishing. I'll try to describe everything so you can experience it with me. Trains from all over the Mississippi and Atlanta and other places arrive here in Meridian many times each day, blowing their steam whistles. Clouds of white steam shoot up into the air. When the conductor shouts, "All aboard," you better scamper on that train because it's about to leave the station. We saw many travelers with fine trunks and stylish clothing. Dylan sat on Pap's shoulders and waved. A girl wearing a sailor dress handed him a red balloon. He clapped his hands and said, "Loon." I've never seen so many bicycles in one place. They're every color of the rainbow and finely made. We first started seeing them on the walk into town, but there are many of them on the streets of Meridian too. Men, women, and children ride bicycles, whole families. We saw a pretty girl and her beau on a bicycle built for two. I've seen women ride side saddle, but here, many of them straddle their bikes with one foot on each side. No kidding. Most of the women who ride that way were wearing special bicycle bloomers, not skirts. Bloomers. It was a funny sight. Can you picture a bunch of women in their bloomers riding bicycles? Pep said, "What's next?" Very practical, Mama said. Why wouldn't women wear split skirts or bloomers? One day, women might wear trousers like men. Skirts and dresses aren't always best for working or riding a horse or a bicycle. I hope someday I get to ride a bicycle wearing bloomers. Will you do it too? When we arrived in downtown Meridian, Mama said, "Dalton, I'd like to have our photograph taken while we're wearing our good clothes." I expected Pap to throw his hat down, but he said, "Grace, I'd be right proud to have a photograph." Mama said, "Good. I don't know when I've seen you look more handsome." Pap said, "It's not every day I get to walk hand in hand down the streets of Meridian with a gal as pretty as you." Mama blushed. We went to Mr. L.H. Legrand's photographic studio, and he had our picture taken. The photographer got under a black drape that hung from his enormous camera. We had to stand very still, and that's hard to do with an almost 2-year-old baby. But Mr. Legrand let Dylan keep his balloon for the picture, and he settled down. I sat next to Pap. Dylan sat on Pap's leg, and Mama stood behind Pap with her hand on his shoulder. Mama may not wear starched white skirts like Miss Melman, but she was beautiful. When Mr. Legrand took our photograph, he used flashing powder that flashed as bright as lightning. It startled us. We thought Dylan might cry, but he said, "Boom!" We walked down Main Street, and Martha, there were more stores than you could shake a stick at. There were millinery stores with lovely new hats displayed in the windows. There were stores that sold clothing and sun-dries, drugstores, hardware stores, bookstores, butcher shops, Christmas store, and a store that sold nothing but ice. The place where every woman wanted to go, however, was Mark's Ruthenberg Department Store. It's the biggest store you could ever imagine, with floors and floors of stuff for sale. Absolutely everything. We even bought a sit-down lunch and root beer mugs at their fountain. But that's not the best part. Wait till you hear this. I'll have to tell you tomorrow. Mama told me to blow out the candle. She's told me twice, and she means business this time. Vexation. Love, Teddy. March 14th, 1892. Dear Martha, here's a continuation of Teddy Bodain's bodacious trip into Meridian. Ha ha ha. When we went to see the Grand Ole Opry House on Fifth Street, people were gathered all over, admiring the beautiful red building. Mama wanted to read the poster that tells what opera or operetta would be presented that day. We went to the lobby to read the poster, and there was Mrs. Cassie Melman. She said, "Why, hello, Mrs. Bodain. I'm so happy to see you." Mama looked surprised. She said, "Oh." Miss Melman acted like she was telling Mama a secret. "I just met the piano player of the opera house. I told him I too play the piano. He was kind enough to give me 3 tickets to today's matinee." 3 free tickets. Isn't that wonderful? Mama didn't act like it was wonderful. She said, kind of stiff-like, "How nice for you." Miss Melman said, "Do you know what's playing?" Mama said, "The poster says that today's operetta is The Pirates of Penzance." Miss Melman clapped her hands. "Yes, I've always wanted to see it. I'm a big fan of Gilbert and Sullivan's operettas. I saw The Mikado and HMS Pinafore back in Charleston. They are just the happiest, most funny musicals. The Pirates of Penzance is supposed to be their finest work." Then she said, "Would you please join me, Mrs. Bodain? We could go to the matinee performance together and use these tickets." Mama looked at Pap. He smiled. "I think that's a fine idea." Mama's face was all sunshine. She said, "I would be delighted to attend with you, Miss Melman. How kind of you to ask." I'm ashamed to say it, but I thought I would die on the spot. I knew that Mama was going to ask me to watch Dylan, and I wouldn't get to go. I tried not to pout. I was happy for Mama, but sad for me. But dear Miss Melman said, "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Mrs. Bodain. Would you permit Theodosia to join us? I have another ticket. The 3 of us could go together." I didn't beg, but my eyes were as big as saucers. I held my breath. Mama looked towards Pap. She and I knew someone had to take care of Dylan. This was Pap's special day, too. We knew he would want to go to the hardware store and the livestock stockade. Pap didn't let us down. He said, "Why don't I take this big old boy with me, and we'll go to the hardware store like men, while you hens go to the musical." I wanted to dance for joy. Mama said, "Theodosia, would you like to join us?" "Great buckets of butter beans," Mama called me Theodosia, right in front of Miss Melman. I said, "Yes, Mama. Thank you, and thank you, Miss Melman." I acted ladylike, but in my mind, I was jumping up and down, doing cartwheels on the sidewalk. The Pirates of Penzance was incredible. Tomorrow, I'll tell you all about it. We're leaving Meridian this morning. Mama reminded me that now would be a good time to post all your letters. She's going to town one last time. I unknotted my handkerchief and gave her a penny for each letter. Remember the pennies we saved? Love, Teddy.